NFL center, Louisville legend, and now Buffalo Bills color commentator, Eric Wood. Welcome to Athlete Unscripted.
I appreciate it. I feel honored to be here. The previous guests, we got baseball players going to the College World Series. Pat Kelsey, a great friend of mine.
Yes.
Elder high school grad as well as me. You bring on two Elder guys in a row.
I know. I'm like, people probably think that I only pick people from Ohio.
Right.
I mean, I had Vince Merrill on here from Ohio. I'm like, I'm not doing this on purpose. It just kind of happens.
Right. Yeah. I mean, us Ohio guys are sought after, I guess. But we all claim Kentucky now, so.
There you go. It's all connected to Louisville. I mean, you're obviously very comfortable behind the mic, which as a podcast host, I love, but also I'm sure you've fallen in love with this whole media side of athletics, and you used to play on the field and now you talk about what's happening on the field. So you're pretty comfortable in this setting. Am I right?
Yeah, if we're not careful, two people that talk for a living, we could go through like two topics and fill the allotted time.
Correct.
But, I've been comfortable in front of a microphone for a long time. I mean, I guess I first got exposed to being in front of the cameras or a mic during my time at U of L, which when your offensive lineman towards the end of my time at U of L is the guy that you're putting in front of the mic, that's not always a great sign for your program. You'd rather that be the quarterback or the running back, but thrust into a lot of those positions, and now I get to do this for a living, which is fun. I mean, we get to talk about sports and fun topics and
life on and off the field. I think that's what's so fun. I love talking about life off the field because you're an athlete on the field, but you're also an athlete off the field, and there's, practices and workouts and things you do that the general public and fans don't get to see. So I like to highlight all of it.
Yeah,
all of it. So you talk about how you're from Cincinnati, Ohio, Elder High School alum. Growing up, when you were younger, before you knew you had made it to the NFL or, playing at the D1 level, where did you think to yourself, okay, I can do this at a greater level, at a higher level, and make a career out of this?
Yeah, I didn't get offered a scholarship to the University of Louisville until my senior year of high school. So it was my dream to play college football. I actually really wanted to play college basketball, and Pat Kelsey was under Skip Prosser at the time. Pat Kelsey's mom and dad used to drive my grandma to church every week. So we've been family friends with the Kelseys for a long, long time. And so I got invited down to Wake Forest basketball camp, where they were bringing in some prospects, simply because of my connection through Elder High School and all that. And I got a wake-up call down there that college basketball is probably not in my future, at least at that level. Wake was number one in the country at the time. They had Chris Paul coming in. They were a really good team, but I was likely not going to play at that level. Skip Prosser actually told me, man, I think you'd be better suited for a football field. I'm like, well, I don't have a scholarship there either. And so blessed that Jeff Brom, who was at the University of Louisville at the time, gave me my one scholarship offer to come to the University of Louisville, and ended up falling into a great situation, played early. And to answer your question about when I thought, hey, I could maybe do this for a living, I made the freshman All-American team, which I would say is a product of being a freshman starting on the offensive line, which is fairly rare. We were really good, and we were really good on offense. So I got accolades, maybe not based upon performance and more just the position I was in. And all of us got this letter, and it broke down, if you're a freshman All-American, X percent of these guys get drafted, this and that. And that year, I had only played 1 year of offensive line before coming to Louisville. And I didn't know if interior offensive linemen or centers could get drafted early in the draft. And that year, I watched a center go in the first round of the NFL draft. And at that point, I decided I'm going to go all in, and that's my goal, to be a first-round draft pick, and it came to fruition.
So cool, so cool. I know you say that I'm going all in a lot, so we're going to circle back around to that statement. Okay. But still just focusing on high school, what lessons or habits did you establish maybe in that senior year that really set you up for success at the collegiate level?
Yeah, I was blessed to go to Elder High School, where I don't want to say it's run like a college program, but we were in the weight room. We were training all year round. So there was habits that I developed in high school that I could carry on into my time playing in college and then the NFL. Those habits of hard work, those daily disciplines that were instilled upon us at Elder, I carried on. And I'm not saying everyone's cut from the same cloth as me or Pat, where we're pretty intense all the time. We're daily workouts and all that, but you get those ingrained in you from an early age when you go to a school like Elder. So blessed to been able to go there, get those daily habits that I could continue into college. And I say blessed because there's a lot of guys that came into college that never touched a weight. I mean, they were just so naturally gifted, and it wasn't required of them at their high school. And then they're shell shocked when they get to the D1 level and you have to train 4 or 5 times a week in the weight room and you're out running sprints and competing and all that. They just weren't used to it. Now, it's not to say they didn't learn those habits then, but it was definitely a culture shock for a lot of those guys.
Yeah, definitely. And it is a big transition for some individuals, but, luckily for you, you were prepped, you were ready. Mm-hmm. What stands out to you to your time at Louisville? Was there like a moment with, coach and really cool how it came full circle there with Jeff Brom,
Yeah.
And now he's head coach here. You're in Louisville, but what's a time when you were there that really just stands out to you?
When we won the Orange Bowl my sophomore year, and we thought we were going to be playing in BCS bowls every year from then on. It didn't work out. We had some injuries the following year. We had some guys that got kicked off the team. We went through a coaching change and all that, but my first 3 years, my redshirt year and then my freshman year and my sophomore year, we were really good. I mean, played with tons of guys that played on Sunday. And that 2006 season where we beat UK at home, which was a ton of fun. It used to be the first game of the year. We smoked them. Unfortunately, Michael Bush got hurt in that game, and that's a lasting memory as well. But we had the blackout game against West Virginia at home. We beat Miami at home, which we had lost to them 2 years prior down at Miami on a Devin Hester punt return and all that. But we had a bunch of big wins, and that season to me was probably the most special.
That is really special to just have those significant wins and kind of just feel like you're starting something new, and it creates a bond with your team, with the guys, the coaching staff, everyone. It just really creates something cool and this momentum almost.
For sure. I mean, I saw Harry Douglas. He was up in Buffalo 2 weeks ago for our home opener against the Ravens, so I got to see him. I went to one of the U of L home games this year and saw Mario Uridium, Brennan Giacomini, Brian Brahms is still a really close friend of mine. There's so many guys that I still stay in contact with. To your point, it creates a bond, especially when you're good and you share those incredible memories. Those last a lifetime. Yeah.
Your experience in the NFL, a little bit different. You went through a lot of head coaching changes. How did you remain consistent through all of that change during your time with the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I think it might be an NFL record. 2 were interims, but 7 head coaches in 9 years.
Right.
I mean, we had 2 mid-season firings where you have a second head coach that year. But to me, I always took pride in being able to adapt to the next coach, and that involved maybe different techniques or different leadership style, what was expected of you. Rex Ryan, that's a player-led team. Hey, you guys run the show in the locker room, and then there's other guys like a Doug Marrone, a Sean McDermott, where it's his show and you're kind of playing off of him. And so you learn different leadership styles, you learn different offenses, and the way everything works out in life, you take the good from it. Well, I got to learn 5 different offenses. Well, now I'm calling football games, and those guys are littered around the NFL, so I'm calling a game. I know their plays. I know potentially what's coming, how they coach that, and so I can give maybe more accurate feedback than others can that played in the same system their whole career.
Right, and I love how you mention what you learned through that and how you can benefit off of it, because a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, the Bills, like new coach coming in, oh my gosh, another year, another coach. Like you can look at it very negatively, but I love that you have a positive approach and say, okay, but what can I learn from this? And then apply it to your life now.
Right.
So I think that's like the best mindset. Other than, really being able to take those leadership styles, was there a specific year where you were like, whoo, I gotta really push through this one? Or, what was your highs and lows of that period of time in the NFL?
Well, when you go through that many coaches, it's not a great sign of what your organization's doing on the field. So I was playing in the longest playoff drought in all of North American professional sports. So hockey, baseball, basketball, football. We had the longest playoff drought. And so that's part of the reason for all the turnover with the head coach. We're trying to find the right guy. Luckily, we got Sean McDermott my final year. And, as far as lows go, I played every single game in college. I think it was 49 straight starts, never got hurt, go to the Bills, and do the Joe Theismann leg break my rookie year. Got hurt my second year. My third year, I do ACL. Fourth year, get hurt again. And from someone who had never been hurt before to go through all those, you learn a lot about yourself and being able to overcome adversity. And in life, when you prove to yourself you can do it, then you feel like when adversity hits later in life that you can push through those moments because you've proven to yourself that you could do it before. And so where those injuries were terrible to go through at the time, and luckily incredible support from my girlfriend at the time who became my wife and still is my wife to this day, and friends and the support staff within the organization. I would come back to Louisville in the off season and work with the trainers here and the strength coaches. I mean, I had incredible support, and you become grateful that you have the network surrounding you to be able to help you get back on the field. But some lows in that regard, and then I would say the highs. Fortunate enough to be the two-time Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee for the Bills, made a Pro Bowl, and then ultimately breaking that playoff drought after the 2017 season was special.
Absolutely, and for that was your last season.
Yep.
Right, so to just kind of go out there on top, to be able to get through all of that and then really see a breakthrough in success is really motivating.
For sure, and I re-signed with the Bills twice, and there was times where I thought about, are we going to get this organization on track, or should I test free agency and go try and chase a Super Bowl ring? Can I do that here? Because ultimately, you get in the NFL, you want to set up financial security for your family, and you're living out your dream, and then you get to a point where now you want to win a Super Bowl. You want to win it all. You want to get that feeling, and I wasn't sure at the time if the Bills are going to make the commitment to be able to do that. Now, we had an ownership change because Ralph Wilson, our previous owner, had passed, and the Pagulas came in, and they've been absolutely incredible for the organization. They've made some incredible hires with head coach Sean McDermott, Brandon Beane, our GM. Those guys were excellent. So when they came in, I got to know them. I said, okay, I'm going to re-sign again, which was before the 2017 season, and I anticipated playing longer, but we ended up breaking through that year. And if you look at our locker room celebration, which you can find it out there on YouTube, when we beat the Dolphins, the Bengals had to beat the Ravens, they beat them, we watch it happen in the locker room. We celebrate like we won the Super Bowl, and we weren't satisfied at that point, but for a team that everyone thought was tanking before the season, we traded away our previous 3 top draft picks from the previous 3 drafts, trade them away before the season or early in the season, and everyone said, okay, the Bills are tanking. They're going to try and get a high draft pick and go get their quarterback, which we ended up doing. We ended up getting Josh Allen the following year, but everyone thought we were tanking. And so in our minds, it was, okay, let's break this playoff drought. Yes, we want to go win it all, but to be able to break the playoff drought was special.
Yeah, you mentioned how you weren't really ready for your NFL career to end. I know you talk about this a lot on podcasts and you're super public about it, but in 2018, you had a neck injury and it ultimately ended your career early. You mentioned you found out when you were in the delivery room with your wife and your son was about to be born, and you found out. I mean, what were the emotions rushing through you then? I mean, to be in such a moment that's like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting, you know, I'm having my second kid, but then to find out that you just had a big career change and an unexpected life change as well.
Yeah, it was definitely unexpected. And so in the moment, yes, you hear it, but it doesn't really sink in. And naively, I thought, well, that's one opinion. Let's go get some other opinions. They all came back the same, that I was no longer going to be able to play football because of a neck injury. And I had played every single snap during the 2017 season, which is rare in the NFL. I mean, you can't be beating a team too bad and take the starters out. You can't be losing too bad. Your shoe can't fall off. You can't get hurt. I mean, it's just rare that you play every single snap of an entire season. And so I had so many years where I missed a lot of time because of injuries throughout the season. I thought, okay, well, we broke the playoff drought. We're going to go get this big-time quarterback. I don't know who it is yet, but things are going to be great within the organization. I love the stability within the organization with the head coach, the ownership, GM, and then it's over. And so, yeah, there was some emotional times. It's definitely a change in lifestyle and trying to figure out what this next chapter is going to look like, especially because it wasn't prepped for. I had just signed a 2-year extension. I had 3 years left with the Bills, thinking, okay, well, let's play this out and try and earn another contract, and let's go chase a Super Bowl ring. And things changed in a hurry, but ultimately just so many blessings that came from that too. And then to find myself in the opportunity now where I can still be a part of the organization and call games. I spent a couple of years with ESPN, 1 year with Fox. And so the people that I had treated really well in the media during my time ended up being the ones that helped me out in this next chapter career-wise and finding that next career move, I guess.
What kept you grounded during that difficult season of uncertainty? What gave you hope?
It's a great question. Ultimately, I'm a man of faith, and so leaned heavily on my faith and those in my circle that could pour into me and give me great reminders that, look, God's got great plans for you. Finding the blessings in being able to play 9 years in the NFL and how rare that is. And I had one scholarship offer to go to college, and I ended up being a first-round draft pick and got to play for 9 years and have these relationships and memories that'll last a lifetime. So be grateful for it and not look back and say, man, I wish I could have played longer. I wish I could have played with Josh, and I wish I could have been a part of this incredible Bills run as a player, and look back on it more as blessings. And ultimately, the people I was surrounded with was just so fortunate through that next stage. I mean, I have incredible lifelong buddies that are football related and a ton that aren't. I had great mentors in my life, incredible family. And so just finding gratitude in everything as opposed to just looking at the negative of, man, my career ended, and then trying to find the positives. And I would have played till the wheels completely fell off and I wouldn't be able to play golf. I just came from the course now. I wouldn't be able to play golf in this next chapter of life likely. I probably wouldn't have been able to play with my kids as much because I would have completely wrecked my body because I loved pro football. I loved everything about it and would have just kept doing it till I couldn't. And so likely a blessing that God pulled me out of there when he did.
How are you using your platform now to share that with others? Because that's such an incredible outlook on life that I want everyone to have, like you want it for others. You obviously, use your platform for good. You have a foundation, your own podcast, you're an author, a speaker, like you do a lot of things. You have a great platform. How do you, make the most of it?
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's often your biggest test becomes ultimately your testimony. So my testimony is, how do you get off the mat when life gives you unexpected adversity? And so being able to speak at different businesses, write a book that outlines, a lot of the trials that I went through, but then ultimately finding the blessings in it. What can you learn from it? And then moving forward and trying to use that to positively impact others. And, everybody's got their story. Everyone's got their adversity that they went through, and you can look back and find those times, and it's what can you learn from those? And then how can you pass those lessons on to others? So I've been fortunate because of the game of football. Playing a game with a ball for a living has given me a platform where then I can go out and hopefully make a positive impact on others through my story. So that became kind of my mission, especially early on where I didn't necessarily know career-wise what I was going to be doing, but because I have this platform, what can I do with it? And then ultimately it led me to the podcast, the books, and different speaking and whatnot.
I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the transition from playing a sport your whole life or your whole adult life to then not at all. And yours came abruptly, but after college, some people, if they don't end up going pro, it's a big switch. They're going from training with a team, working out every day, having a schedule, time, minute by minute, given to them. What is that transition like, especially after it happened so abruptly?
Right. You hit a lot of it on the head. I mean, it's finding that daily schedule. What am I going to do today that's going to be productive, especially when you're not hopping into another job or you're not hopping right into something else that creates your schedule. So how do I create a schedule? Who am I going to surround myself with? What's my new community going to be, whether that's a golf group or a men's group at church or, people you work out with or family. Some guys get out of the league and they don't have family to surround themselves with or positive friend groups, and being able to find those is important. And I've talked to a lot of people that have transitioned out of the military and they struggle with the same things, businessmen and women that have been in the same occupation for 30, 40 years and then it's over. Well, if you're not careful, that's your identity. And fortunately that through my faith and through different groups I was in, some business ventures, I had a community outside of football, which I could lean on when I was done. So many people don't have that though. And that's where you see some serious struggle, and you got to ultimately come to grips with, I'm not a football player anymore, or whatever it may be, a women's volleyball player, go from the, national championship game a year ago to, okay, now I'm not a volleyball player. Was that all I am? Of course not, but it's finding what your next steps are going to be that can be difficult for so many people. And some guys and gals get themselves in trouble saying, okay, well, I competed in athletics. Now I'm going to go compete in business. I'm going to throw a bunch of money at something. It's like, be careful.
Right.
Because you can get in a lot of trouble doing that. And then ultimately, I believe so strongly in who you surround yourself with. And I've mentioned it a couple times, but just incredibly blessed to be surrounded by people that can pour into my life. I mean, for 3 years, I had an advisory board of people that were local and non-local that I would open up my life to and say, find the blind spots. Where am I going wrong here? And ultimately, those men and women that were involved in those advisory boards gave me some great direction in life, saying, hey, let's not do this, or hey, why don't you double down and go all in on this, because you seem to have a gift. I see your gifts. Oftentimes it's harder to see your own gifts than other people might see in you. And so just allowing people to speak into your life, surrounding yourself with the right people can dramatically change kind of the direction for that next chapter.
It's definitely a little bit of an identity crisis. It's like you've identified as a volleyball player your whole life, or a football player your whole life. And that's been a part of you, that it's instilled in your everyday lifestyle. And now it's not. So I definitely agree. The people that you surround yourself with really, really impact your outlook on life and just how you go about decision making. Yeah,
I remember my first year out of the league, I went to Coach Petrino's golf outing. He was back at the university at the time. I played under him at Louisville, and then he came back, and I was at his golf outing. And so many people kept coming up to me. So my career ended in January. This is April. People kept coming up, well, what are you going to do now? I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. Well, you have to do something. Do you need a job? No, I'm fine right now. But it was like, I remember that day just leaving there thinking, man, I want to tell people, like, I'm just trying to figure it out, and I'll be okay. It's all right. I'm not in a bad place right now by any means. I'm completely content with where I'm at, but others see that identity in you as well, I guess is my point there. Like, people are going to still identify you as that student athlete or that professional athlete, and then it's not worrying about their opinions or letting them kind of bring you back down by the constant reminder of you're no longer doing this anymore.
Yeah, it constantly asking you, what's next? What's next?
Yeah.
What's next? And that kind of foreshadowed what came next for you. You found your voice, like you said earlier, on the other side of the mic, being the one that's asking the questions and in the broadcast booth, kind of watching the game and being the color analyst. How did you say, okay, I'm going to pursue this. I want to do this. Was it the people around you that said, this is a strength for you?
Yeah. And so I got an opportunity at Fox my second year out of the league to go do a couple pregame shows and call one game for them. And I realized I need to get a lot more comfortable in front of a microphone, and really on the opposite side. As athletes, you're so used to people asking you questions, carrying the conversation. Well, now you're on the opposite side of the mic, hopping into that world. You got to get better at this. And so when I was looking for a direction for a podcast, which I didn't even go into it with sponsors or anything at the time, it was simply, let me learn this, and I'm going to take some lessons from people on this next chapter of life, and people will probably benefit from this. And it ended up growing into a fairly significant podcast, which then led to the book, which the book is essentially fueled from those podcast conversations. And it was everyone from pastors to big time businessmen and women to health experts to coaches to former athletes, current athletes. What can I learn from all these individuals? And that podcast was a lot of fun. It ran for about 3 years, and I got a ton from it, over 200 episodes. And so I learned so much from those. And then I also learned the other side of the mic as well.
You could be so skilled at one thing, but if you find a passion in something else, you can become really, really skilled at it too. And so there, you can do a lot of things. You just gotta, keep getting reps in. It all crosses over, I feel
for
like.
sure. And I would listen to sports talk radio differently. I would listen to podcasts differently. Like, ooh, I like how they did that. Or, if I'm interviewing, and this would just be watching different people do interviews, but okay, well, I don't need to follow up on everything. This is about you. This is about sitting here. This isn't about me.
Right.
Or this is about the player. So now I'm not following up each time, but a podcast is more conversational. So learning the different types of interviews, conversations. Yeah, absolutely.
And that you can have.
Yeah, so I learned a ton, and it's amazing. Like, you start going into a certain avenue, okay, now I'm paying attention to different things that I'd never paid attention to, and what can I take from all these? I mean, I'd watch a news report differently.
Yes. Or it's like when you're looking to buy a new car, suddenly you start seeing that car everywhere you go and paying attention to it and you know what it looks like, and you just it's all about what you've got your mind set on, and then it just starts popping up everywhere and you start observing differently.
Absolutely.
So, when it comes to broadcasting, what is one thing that once you got into the business you realized that you did not know before, that fans might not realize?
I didn't realize the time that went into it, especially when you're on the TV side of things. You know, calling a college football game, we'd get there Thursday night for a Saturday game. We're at practice for one team Friday morning. We're meeting the other team at the hotel later that day. We have production meetings with both teams. You have a production meeting with your team and your broadcast crew that night. The next morning, we're doing rehearsals for our opens. And I just assumed you showed up and called the games. Now, radio, we do more of that because there's not as much rehearsal time. And for NFL games, we're not allowed in the production meetings during the season. And we can for the preseason, but during the regular season, we're not. So it's not nearly as much of a time commitment. But I realized quickly especially calling college football games, that this is a lot more time away for my family than I anticipated, because even when you're home before leaving, you have production meetings pop up throughout the week. It was hard to schedule things throughout the week because you could have these meetings pop up, especially during COVID when everything was virtual. And so it became easy for people to say, okay, well, we're going to have a 1 p.m. meeting today. Well, I had planned. Well, I guess I got to scrap those plans now.
Right.
And I didn't realize the time commitment that people are putting in and how much research goes into calling two college teams that before getting the assignment 6 days in advance, I probably couldn't even name their head coach and quarterback.
Right.
And so NFL a lot easier, especially I'm covering, do color commentary on the Bills radio broadcast. So we cover the same team every week. I know a lot of the guys on the other team too, so not nearly as much prep work. Ton of prep work when you get random college assignments 6 days out each week.
Right. There is I say in this industry, it's 80% research.
Yep.
I mean, and then, it's not just like, boom, the recording light goes on and they say, go, and then you just go. I mean, you've got to be ready to go, and you've got to take a couple days to prep for that.
Yeah, and you're getting critiqued. Like, you hop on social media after a game, even if it's not a huge game, there is going to be plenty of critique out there.
This dude did not know what he was talking about.
Exactly. And I've messed up names and stats, and people will fact check you quick on that, and that's fine. I'm going to mess up 100 more times, probably human. This season.
Yeah.
But it's also fun to be around the games, and I did realize that was kind of filling a void. Yes, I'm not competing anymore on the field, and whether the Bills win or lose, it doesn't necessarily affect my job like it does the players and the coaches and those in the organization. But being around the organization still on a week-to-week basis is a lot of fun for me.
Yeah, I saw pictures of your kids up in the broadcast booth and with Josh Allen. I mean, how cool is it for them to be able to look up to you and, see you doing these big things and chasing after your dreams? You're setting a great example for them. But how does it feel knowing that maybe they're going to follow in your footsteps, or they just get to be involved in your day-to-day life and your career so heavily? Yeah,
it's fun. And it's fun to be able to bring them along with me. They'll come to away games. The Bills are out in LA the last 3 years. They're not this year, thank God, because we've had expensive Disneyland trips each year. But then, we'll do Disneyland and go to a Bills game. And I would say they have a distorted reality on what it's like to go to sporting events, because they're on the sideline, they're in the booth, they're going to
all access passes.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I grew up a big Cincinnati Bengals fan. I never met a Bengals player until I was probably in the NFL. And for Derby, we have Josh Allen, my son's favorite athlete, staying at our house. And so to him, Josh will give him a shout out from the field pregame, and he just takes it for granted. Like, oh, that's my buddy Josh, or hey, let's go see Josh in the locker room after the game. And, and Josh is so gracious with his time, and he's so cool with all the kids. And I remember last year, Tom Brady was on the call for one of the games, and it was actually the Bills at Rams. And my son woke up, he was like, I want to talk to Tom Brady today. And I was like, well, the broadcast booth isn't set up like Buffalo, where we're right next to the TV guys. They're separate from the radio guys. And then, of course, Tom comes up on the field, and my son is a miniature version of me. I mean, he's my little clone. And Tom comes up, and he's like, that's got to be yours. I was like, it is. And I was like, and all he wanted was a picture with you this morning. I don't know why, because you're the enemy, you know.
Oh, my gosh,
I've
right.
played against him for 9 years, twice a year. And Tom gets a picture with him, and I'm like, not that I didn't want it to happen, but now he just thinks like that's going to happen all the time. But that's part of the fun in doing this gig. Like, yes, I'm gone almost every weekend. I miss a lot of sporting events and whatnot on the weekends. Now I'm available more during the week. But I also feel like it's important for my kids to see me work. Like, you don't just get nice things in life. And even though my daughter was 2.5 when my career ended, she doesn't really understand the grind that comes with pro football to allow you to have some of the luxuries of life and all the commitment that goes with it. So it's good for them to see, like when I'm going to work on the weekends, I'm going to work. I'm not going to the Bills game. I'm not going to hang out with my buddies. I'm going to work. That's what Daddy does for a living. And yes, it requires some time away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're not going to sit and eat popcorn and yell, bad call, ref.
Right.
Like, you're going to work. You're, currently the Bills color commentator, so you kind of add the storylines, the backing, the juice to the broadcast, which is super cool. You mentioned that you're calling the Dolphins-Bills game this week. The Bills right now are 2-0.
Yep.
What do you think about that?
It's not surprising. I mean, I would have said it's surprising that they got the win over the Ravens when they were down 15 points with 4 minutes to go. And
right.
There was a 0.9% win probability. We were on the broadcast talking about how the Bills haven't lost at home since 2023. We haven't given up 40 points in a game since 2022. And we're going through all those with 5 minutes to go in the game, and then Josh Allen puts on the Superman cape and gets it done, and had some breaks go their way. I mean, you're never going to come back from that type of deficit without having a few breaks go your way as well.
Right.
But the Bills are good. I mean, they are. And like the rest of the AFC, we can't get over the hump against the Chiefs, but maybe this is the year. Chiefs are 0-2 right now. The Bills are 2-0, so we'll see. And then they got a game against the Dolphins, and you always have to keep in mind that the NFL is a week-to-week league. I mean, everybody's good. And, the Dolphins are sitting there at 0-2, and they understand if they get to 0-3, your playoff percentages go drastically down. So they're going to be fighting to try and get a win. It's a short week. Maybe they can catch the Bills off guard. So we'll see how it shakes out. I like their chances, though.
Okay. Do you think that the Bills have a good chance of making a Super Bowl run this year?
I do, and it would be a storybook year. I mean, there's a bunch of different narratives, but this is the last year in old Highmark Stadium. They'll be in the new stadium next year, so you could send this stadium off the right way. The Super Bowl's out in San Francisco, about 40 minutes from where Josh Allen grew up. This is, I believe, the 60th year for the organization. I mean, there's just a lot of storylines to where if it worked out this way, if it worked out this year, it'd be incredible. And so I'm excited if the city of Buffalo could get a Super Bowl. I'm almost a little worried about what that celebration would look like and how long it would go, but I definitely want to see it happen. Sean McDermott has this deal where all the players get a chance to talk to the team, tell them about your why you play, what your motivations are. And I remember I showed a video of the Cubs World Series parade, another franchise that had never won a championship. And, the guys got their shirts off. They're playing guitar on stage. There's hundreds of thousands of people in downtown Chicago. And I showed everyone the YouTube video in the room, and I said, Buffalo will be twice as wild as this. We need to make this happen.
Wow. There are a lot of, quote me Taylor Swift here, invisible strings when it comes to the Super Bowl and everything, because Taylor Swift's a part of the NFL brand now.
She is.
What do you think of that?
I was listening to Clark Hunt, the owner of the Chiefs, on my buddy David Novak's podcast that came out last week or the week before, and he was talking about how something like 40% of their fan base is now females because of Taylor Swift. I remember one of the first games that she publicly went to one of the games was Chiefs at Bills in the playoffs a couple years ago. That's when Jason Kelsey jumped out of the suite window. And
shirtless.
Yeah, exactly. And I was with him before the game at a bar.
Oh, no.
I couldn't partake with those guys because I had work to do, but I hung out with them. I've known Jason since we were 18 years old. And
oh, wow.
So I was showing them the ropes around Buffalo, and they kept going from there. They had themselves quite a day, but
wow.
Taylor Swift came to that game, and the amount of security around them, and then Jason invited 2 of my buddies to come to the suite with them. Well, they weren't allowed access because they didn't have 5 days worth of clearance from Taylor's security people. Like, they had to vet everybody that was going to be around her in the suite. And you realize, like, there's a big difference between a country music star and the Time Person of the Year. There's just a big difference between like a global icon and a
genre artist.
Yeah, a Morgan Wallen or somebody that comes to a sporting event and he might have a security guard with him, but not a security team, not people watching the suite from afar to make sure nothing is going to encroach her. I mean, different level. Her suite that she was in was right next to our GM's suite. And so his wife tells a story about she couldn't use the restroom that the suites share just outside the doors because that was now Taylor's. And she's like, no, this is my team. She is in our building. I'm going to use the restroom. I think it all worked out, but originally they were like, no, you guys need to find somewhere else to go.
Oh my gosh, wow. The amount of security and precautionary measures that they take. That's crazy.
I know it.
The ordinary people, ordinary to you, are like celebrities to the world. And, you know, that's kind of the role that you play.
Whether it's a country music artist or an actor or actress, I mean, we're all the same. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I met Haley Steinfeld, Josh's now wife, before a Bills game last year in Josh's suite. Went down to say hi to his agent, met her, and just a sweet, normal person.
Yeah.
Like, she didn't roll in with the security team or anything. She just wanted to be there for the Bills game and
support her person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny to me now, totally different level from Taylor Swift, but she comes to Bills game and she's not the focal point of the broadcast. And I guess you realize the different level between Taylor Swift and other celebrities as well.
You have this go all in mentality. It really just represents, you know, everything you've done. Whatever you do, you go all in. How do you approach excellence in each area to be able to go all in, you know, with writing a book, with golf? I mean, your extracurriculars, like, how do you go all in every area?
You got to be careful when you have a personality like that, because you can be obsessive about things and maybe leave things in the dust that you shouldn't. And, you know, essentially, you got to have some core values to say, okay, my faith's most important to me. So, okay, I'm going to start every day off in the Word. You know, I say my family's second. Okay, well, what do my actions show that? When I have the ability to take the kids to school, am I doing that? Or am I prioritizing a workout or a golf game or whatever that may be? I'm far from perfect. My wife will listen to this podcast and she'll say, oh, there's times you don't. And listen, I am absolutely an imperfect person, but I do have a personality to where when I commit to something, I'm going to go all in on it. You know, at this stage of life, I want to be a rock star dad and husband. I want to be a rock star Christian. I want to bring others to faith. I lead a men's group at church, at our church here in town at Southeast Christian. I love to play golf. I see a lot of the benefits of playing golf, though. Yes, golf is a ton of fun. It gives me something to compete at, but the people it's connected me to, you get some exercise. It's given me something to try to be good at again, like almost like I did with football, where I'm thinking about it constantly, like how can I tinker with this? And that's been a great rhythm for me. Business-wise, I have some investments, and I want to be able to bring value to those organizations as well. With the podcast, like I have an all-in personality, and like I said, at times you got to be careful with that because I can be obsessive. But generally, the people that you find in life that find success are wired like that. And then it's about, okay, what am I neglecting? You see so many big-time business women and men who neglect their family, and that crumbles them. Or they neglect their health, and that crumbles them. They don't have a spiritual aspect about them, and it ends up crumbling them because they don't have a foundation to fall back on when adversity hits. So while I do go all in on certain things, I try to stick to my core values to not have blind spots in my life.
Absolutely. I'm the same way. When I commit to something, I'm like 110%. You know, I lay awake at night. I'm like, okay, how can I, how can I advance in this area of my life? You know?
Yeah, mine's not the lay in bed awake at night. Mine's the
healthy version.
Well, no, I wouldn't say this is healthy either, but it's, okay, we went to bed at 10. At 3:30 or 4 in the morning, I'm laying there thinking, I can do this, this, and this. If I get up now, okay, well, let's just get the day rolling. And
wow.
So, no, I wouldn't suggest that on people, but that's where my mind's wired.
Yeah. No, I mean, it does bring success because you care about it enough to go all in on it.
Yep.
You know, it's not, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's like, I'm going to do this and do it with everything I've got.
Yep.
So I think that's great. Well, okay, so what's next? You know, that's like your phrase. What is next for the Eric Wood brand?
I'm not totally sure, other than continuing what I'm doing now, and whether that's continuing on the path with the radio gig with the Bills and the podcast, and continuing to try and expand that, playing golf. But ultimately what's next is continuing to pour into my wife, Leslie, continue to pour into my kids, continue to pour into those that God surrounds me with, and then chase some of these passions and hobbies. But there's been times where it's been like, okay, should I go chase after a TV gig? Okay, well, what's that come with? Especially at this stage of life where my kids are getting into sports, my daughter's riding horses. Okay, if I go chase a CBS gig, what's that take away from?
Right.
Because that's more time away, that's more commitment, that's likely some, whether that's career development, classes, training, whatever that may be, it comes with a lot. So it's what's next is kind of weighing those potential possibilities, but also keeping completely in tune to what's most important for me at this stage of life right now, and understanding that I've been given this platform and some financial security through playing ball where I might not need to chase those things. And what comes with those, and what's the purpose behind chasing those? Is it more money? Is it more fame, or whatever it may be? Just kind of weighing those. So I don't know exactly what's next, but I'm in a good spot right now. And I would say right now it's just to keep doubling down on what I'm doing and trying to get better at those. Yeah,
just riding the wave.
Yep.
Figuring it out as it comes. Well, one last thing for any athlete listening. What's one thing that you would tell them to do? I mean, you're really, really good at, you've built your brand, your name, your image, and your likeness. I mean, NIL. You understand, product placement. You've got the Water Boy, the Danos. Like, you've got these sponsors, and you're really, really good at, negotiating, doing business deals. I mean, college athletics has kind of become a little bit of its own business.
Yeah.
It really. What advice would you give to any collegiate athletes listening, maybe that want to go pro or just take advantage of the NIL opportunities in front of them?
Yeah, I mean, you have to take advantage of the opportunities. And yes, you want to maximize your earning in college nowadays. But I remember Tom Brady didn't start social media channels until very late in his NFL career. He had won 5-6 Super Bowls before he even had an Instagram account. So keep the main thing the main thing. You're being paid. People want to work with you because you're good at something. You're good at that sport. So go all in with your preparation, your daily disciplines to be great at that. And then when you do get the opportunities will come from that, and then nourish those relationships. There might be a small deal that you get in college, which turns into a job opportunity one day. A small deal might become a huge deal. It might become an equity deal at some point. I mean, Josh Allen's now working with New Balance, and they're making a huge investment to his community that he grew up in, small part of California. And finding those where, hey, maybe I can get some equity one day in this and almost get like the Michael Jordan brand Nike effect one day. And I know that's up here, and there's a lot of smaller, more realistic for some types of those along the way. But it's really nourishing those relationships, understanding that when you get those deals, you're a businessman or woman now. Like you have to show up early. You need to know people's names, and you have to act accordingly to keep those deals going. And then one thing that I would encourage athletes nowadays in this day and age of transfers is to don't give up on something too early. I found there's so many people out there that play in the NFL, I'll say on Sundays, that didn't start till their junior year somewhere, but they learned a system. They got to develop under somebody. They learned from other people within that college, and then they became great. And had they transferred and not developed in one system, not worked with the same trainers and strength coaches and whatever, they wouldn't have got to where they were. And I just see so many people nowadays quit on their current program they're in to move on to what seems like greener pastures, and it's not. If you're not playing somewhere, you're likely not transferring to a better school and starting there. And so how can you get better on a day-to-day basis, and how can I earn an opportunity within this college and not just taking what I'll say, quote, easy route, which is likely going to be a harder route with the move and college credits not transferring and everything else. Don't be too quick to rush into a transfer is what I would say.
Right. It's how you become well-rounded.
Yep.
If you stay in a program and really invest in becoming all around a great athlete and a great, young adult, I think that takes you further.
I agree 100%. And, this university in particular is blessed with incredible head coaches from top to bottom. I mean, what Josh Hurd's done leading this athletic department and the hires that he's made and his staff have made throughout the programs. I'm not just talking about baseball, basketball, football. I'm talking across the board, soccer, volleyball. I mean, we have incredible sustained success throughout a majority of our programs. Just understand that the grass might not be greener if you transfer out of this university, and there's going to be tough times, and the transfer portal has given a lot of young athletes an out. Okay, well, this coach isn't nice to me, so I'm going to leave. Well, that might not be the best thing for you.
Right. The grass is not always greener. And you can speak from experience that just because, everything's not lining up perfectly doesn't mean you need to run and try to find what's better.
Absolutely.
You can
for sure.
learn something in the tough moments and the
Absolutely.
difficult moments. Well, you have already made such an impact, and you're continuing to do so using your voice, using your platform. So it's been so cool getting to hear your story and be able to share it on my platform.
Yep.
But good luck this NFL season from the broadcast booth.
I appreciate it.
And maybe the Bills can have a great run to the Super Bowl.
Absolutely. I'd love to see my Bills, my Cardinals. Looking at the schedule, and I can say these things because I'm not prepping. I'm not a coach. I'm not a player, but schedule shaping out for Louisville where maybe get in the ACC championship game this year, maybe make a run at a playoff spot with the extended playoffs, and who knows. But it's been fun following the Cards too, and following Jeff and having a personal relationship with Coach Kelsey and Jeff Walls and Dan McDonald. All those guys are buddies, and so it's been fun watching this era of Cardinal athletics have the success they're having.
Oh yeah, starting something new. So.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks again for coming on Athlete Unscripted.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of Athlete Unscripted. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss an exclusive episode and you stay in the know on all things athletics. I'll see you next time.